A few years ago, ladies and gentlemen, I hit a milestone. I crossed over from my teens into my tweens. Now, as I turned 20, all of a sudden there was this huge barrage of advice that came my way. Now, how many of you went to Ovations? So my friend Saurabh spoke about voices in the forest that you hear. That's what I'm talking about. Now, a common theme amongst that voices was that you are supposed to face your fears. Miss Contest Chair, dear judges, and as Dhananjay Hettiarathi very wonderfully put it, my fellow flowers. A few years ago, I started driving. And it was horrible. Which is strange really, because driving is supposed to be an activity where you are at your absolute best as a person. Because ultimately you have in your hands control of a weapon, which you are riding amongst other weapons. But God knows that's not the case. When I am driving, I am at my absolute worst as a human being. All it takes is for another car to test my reflexes for 5 milliseconds, and BAM! I launch into a tirade of abuses that even I didn't know I knew. So that's self-discovery happening with starting something new right there. But as with every new thing that you start, you learn something new. I learned that all of my hand-eye coordination did not count for anything when I went on the road. I learned that my knowledge of cuss words was far more extensive than anything I'd ever experienced before. But ultimately I realized that not all drivers are that bad. There are some that piss me off the most and drive me mad. So the first of these is something that I call grandmothers. These grandmothers will never move beyond 20 kilometers an hour. You can be on an empty 6-lane highway. You can be on the Buddh International Circuit. They can be piloting an aircraft on the Indira Gandhi International Airport. It just doesn't matter. They will not move. The afflicted usually include men over 60, women over 40, and me when I'm driving next to my mother. The second are what I call wolverines. A grandmother's worst nightmare. These guys, for them, lane driving is insane driving. Lane driving is something that they've never followed in their life. They'll be driving in the rightmost lane, and all of a sudden they remember to turn. All the drivers behind them can go to hell after that. Now, it's a species that I've seen a lot in Delhi, but fortunately I haven't seen a lot of these kinds in Pune. Next up are something called beacons. Beacon is a philanthropist at heart. These kind-hearted souls have made it their life's mission to educate people. And they do that by switching on their headlights on high beam, whether or not it's required. By doing that, everyone in the car in front of them, all the rear seat passengers, can read while they're driving. So that's social service right there. And if all of these are not enough, you have to deal with some very, very pesky two-wheelers who have an attraction towards the teeniest of spaces on the road. 5 millimeters of extra gap somewhere, they take that vehicle and just stuff it in over there. Once you're done with that, you also have to deal with those wonderful little pedestrians that you've got. Headphones in the ear, walking around, absolutely oblivious to the metal boxes that can come and kill that shit. So I think we've established that driving is a tough job, and it's definitely not easy. But don't let any of that take away from the pleasure of driving. It is one of the few legal vices that we have. And ultimately, cruising along the highway with some Roadhouse blues playing in the background is one of the most pleasurable things you can do for yourself. So once you're done with that, drive often, drive safe, and if you identify to any of those earlier cases that I mentioned, you've been warned. Just contact.